There's a special kind of irony when betrayal decides to show up wrapped in silk and smiles, like a gift you didn't ask for but got anyway. Our 10-year anniversary was coming up, and while some folks celebrate it with candlelight dinners or surprise jewelry, mine began with 6 words that hit harder than a freight train. I want to go alone to think. Now, you'd think a man would be suspicious when his wife drops that line out of the blue, especially on an anniversary. But me? I smiled, nodded, said, "Take all the time you need." I even helped her pack. Because when someone shows you who they really are, the worst thing you can do is interrupt the performance. Ashley, my wife, at least by legal definition, booked herself a 4-day solo getaway to Sedona. "I just need some clarity," she said. "Some space to breathe." Right. Space. That's what cheaters call it when they're trying to justify hotel sheets that don't smell like home. But I didn't argue. I said goodbye at the door like a man who believed her. I didn't. See, I'd already seen the texts. The ones she thought she deleted. The little digital love letters from a man named Jay, a man who apparently had a lot of opinions about the things he'd do to her when I'm not around. Now, I could have confronted her. Could have gone full Jerry Springer right there in our living room. But I didn't want a scene. I wanted a revelation. So I got myself the same exact airline ticket. Booked the same hotel, same floor, even. Funny thing about infidelity, people get sloppy when they think you're too trusting to watch closely. She kissed me goodbye at the curb with that same fake warmth she used to reserve for birthday parties and dinner with my parents. I waved, blew her a kiss, then turned around and headed straight to long-term parking. She had no idea I was flying 2 rows behind her. She never turned around on the plane, too busy texting Jay, probably. I checked. He was on that plane too. Different seat. But the same destination. Sedona is one of those places where everything feels too peaceful to be real. Red rocks, open skies, spiritual retreats on every block. You almost forget people come here to cheat in private, not find themselves. Ashley checked in at 3:17 p.m. I know because I watched her from across the lobby, hidden behind a complimentary tourist map and a fake mustache I didn't need. But hey, sometimes a man wants to feel dramatic. She looked radiant. Not in the "my marriage just turned 10" kind of way. More like the "I shaved for someone else" kind. Hair done. New dress. Heels she hadn't worn since our engagement dinner. Suddenly, her definition of clarity started to look like a weekend package with a side of betrayal. Jay arrived 20 minutes later. Tall. Tan. Shirt unbuttoned, one too many buttons down. The kind of guy who wears cologne to the gym and calls it self-care. He didn't check in. No, he strolled straight up to the elevator with confidence and a room key. Ashley was waiting upstairs. Room 312. I know because I followed discreetly and watched them kiss in the hallway like a pair of teenagers with zero shame and too much mouth. They stumbled inside, laughing, and the door closed behind them. You'd think that'd be the part where I break down, right? Cry in the stairwell. Whisper her name like a lost soul. Nope. I pulled out my phone and snapped a timestamped photo. Then I took another one of the room number. Then I turned and walked to my own room, 316. Close enough to hear muffled laughter through thin hotel walls. Close enough to know I wasn't crazy. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because of heartbreak, that part was dying in slow motion, but because I was focused. Collecting evidence. Recording timestamps. Planning the finale. On the second day, they hit the spa together. Walked hand in hand like love was a brand new trick they'd invented. I snapped pictures. I filmed them eating dinner at the resort restaurant. Jay even fed her a bite of dessert like they were auditioning for a toothpaste commercial. She looked happy. Not the fake smile she gave me during holiday photos, real joy. That's what hurt. Not the cheating. Not even the lies. She never looked at me like that. I waited until the 4th day, the day she planned to return. She didn't know it yet, but while she was sipping sangria on the patio, back home, things were being rearranged. Her return wouldn't be met with hugs. Her return would be met with silence and suitcases. Ashley came home with a slight sunburn and the kind of relaxed smile that people only get from spa treatments and someone else's pillow. She pulled into the driveway humming. I know because I watched her from the upstairs window, coffee in hand, heart beating like a war drum wrapped in silk. She got out of the car, dragging her luggage with that same carefree grace, probably rehearsing some speech in her head. Something like, "It was so healing. I really needed the space. We should do solo trips more often." I imagine the words froze right in her throat when she saw the front door. It was wide open, and at the threshold, 2 suitcases. Hers, neatly packed, zippers closed, handles up. like they'd been politely escorted out of their own life. No note, no yelling, just cold, quiet finality. I stepped onto the porch like I was just coming out to get the mail. She looked at me like I'd grown another head. Logan, what is this? I didn't say anything at first. I wanted the silence to settle in, thick and heavy, like smoke before fire. Then I handed her an envelope. Inside were 8 photographs. Her kissing Jay in the hallway, holding his hand by the pool, laughing over drinks. And the piece de resistance? Her straddling him on a lounge chair, both of them so tangled up in each other they forgot the world had eyes. She went pale. Pale in that way liars do when their alternate universe collapses. Her eyes darted between the photos and my face. You followed me? No, I said, calm and razor sharp. I traveled with you. Same flight. Same hotel. Different intentions. She opened her mouth, maybe to lie, maybe to cry. I didn't wait. There's a storage unit rented in your name. The address is on top of your suitcase. You'll find your things there. The locks on this house were changed 2 hours ago. You can't just kick me out, she snapped, finally finding her voice. Oh, but I can, I said. You wanted space. Now you've got a lifetime of it. Her face crumpled, that perfect little mask slipping for the first time. Logan, I made a mistake. I tilted my head. Which one? The lies? The gaslighting? Or getting caught? She stepped toward me, but I held up a hand like I was stopping traffic. You took a vacation from our marriage. And now? It's permanent. I turned, walked inside, and shut the door behind me. I didn't lock it. Didn't need to. Because ghosts don't need keys. The day after Ashley got home. Correction, tried to get home. The neighborhood grapevine lit up. You'd think folks would mind their own business, but nothing gets suburban blood pumping like drama on a quiet street. Oh, did you hear? Logan kicked her out. She came back early from vacation, and her stuff was outside. They say he had photos. Evidence. Real receipts with a capital R. People love a scandal, especially when it doesn't involve them. I didn't confirm anything. I didn't deny it either. I just mowed my lawn and waved at Mrs. Crenshaw like it was any other Tuesday. But behind that calm, I was working, planning, laying bricks on a road I was going to walk with cold, measured steps. See, I wasn't just out to end things. I was out to make sure she never forgot how they ended. Ashley had spent the last year rewriting our marriage in her head, telling herself I was boring, distant, too safe. That narrative only works when the other person doesn't speak. Well, I was about to speak. Loudly, and with precision. Step 1. Social recalibration. I posted a single photo on social media. Me, holding a glass of scotch, suit sharp, standing on a balcony overlooking downtown. Caption. Turns out, losing dead weight feels lighter than I expected. Cheers. It exploded. Old college friends DM me. Her coworkers liked it. Her aunt left a cryptic comment with a skull emoji. Ashley blocked me 3 hours later. But it was too late. The narrative had shifted. I wasn't the abandoned husband anymore. I was the man who left. Step 2. Financial fireworks. What she didn't know, or never cared to understand, was that I handled all our money. Every account, every bill, every little automatic subscription she used without ever once asking where the money came from. So I froze the joint credit card, transferred half of our joint savings into a separate legal trust with my lawyer's name attached. Not illegal, just inconvenient. Especially when the rent on that fancy little apartment she snagged downtown got denied. She called me. First time in days. You cut me off? She snapped. No, I replied calmly. I adjusted to your absence. That's different. You're being vindictive. And you were being naked with someone else at the Sedona resort. Should we compare definitions? Click. Step 3. The gallery. I wasn't planning to go public with the photos, but I did make sure they reached one person, Jay's boss. A neat little envelope, labeled HR Concern, Relationship Conduct, was dropped in the mail, anonymous return address, filled with images that showed more than enough. Jay's company had a strict policy about inappropriate workplace relationships. And while Ashley didn't work there, those photos of him feeding her strawberries in a company polo on the resort balcony made the point loud and clear. He was terminated within the week. Ashley texted me 2 words. Are you proud? I didn't reply. Of course I was. Step 4. The Last Supper. 2 weeks later, Ashley asked to meet. Said she wanted closure. Said she was confused, hurting, trying to figure things out. I agreed. Not because I wanted to see her, but because I wanted her to see me. We met at a local steakhouse. The same one where I proposed 10 years earlier. Sentimental, right? I wore a navy suit. Clean shave. Fresh haircut. I looked like a man thriving. She walked in wearing a guilty smile and a dress I bought her for our 6th anniversary. Bold choice. Logan, she said, sitting down. You look good. I am good, I said. Better than I've been in a long time. She blinked, taken aback. Maybe she thought I'd beg. Apologize. Ask her to come back. Instead, I ordered the most expensive bottle of wine and let her squirm through awkward small talk for 10 minutes before she finally said it. I made a mistake. You didn't, I replied, swirling my glass. You made a choice. The mistake was thinking I'd wait around afterward. Silence. She lowered her eyes, voice soft. I didn't think you had this in you. I didn't either, I said. But betrayal teaches you who you are. She tried to pivot. Said she wasn't really in love with Jay. That it just happened and felt new. That she missed what we had. That maybe there was a way forward. I reached into my jacket and slid a small black box across the table. She opened it. Inside was her wedding ring and a USB drive. What's this? She asked. The ring? That's just a reminder of the woman I used to know. The drive? That's a backup of everything. Photos, texts, timestamps, emails. I figured if you ever feel the need to play victim, I'd rather the world have context. Her face flushed. You wouldn't. I already have, I said. I'm not out to ruin you, Ashley. I'm just making sure you don't get to rewrite this story without a co-author. She stood up, shaking. You're cruel. No, I said, leaning back. I'm done. That night, I slept like a baby. Not because she hurt me less than I thought, but because I hurt less than I expected. See, that's the funny thing about betrayal. It cracks you open, but sometimes it lets the light in. That light? It's a spotlight. Because I'm not just moving on, I'm taking the stage. There's something liberating about letting go of a liar. Like your lungs suddenly remember what air is supposed to taste like. No more walking on eggshells. No more guessing if the girl's night was really a night or a new guy named Jay. But this part? This wasn't about healing. This was about finishing. Ashley had spent the better part of a year playing 2 roles, the grieving wife in public and the giddy mistress in private. So I figured it was time for me to direct a show of my own. Curtain up. House lights on. Let the audience see what the star of our story had really been up to. And what better venue than the one place she thought she still owned the narrative? Her best friend's birthday party. Now, this wasn't just any get-together. It was the social event of her little clique. Wine, catered food, people who talked too loud about yoga and too quietly about their spouses. Everyone who knew us, or thought they did, would be there. And rumor had it Ashley would be attending solo. I got an invite too. Courtesy of the birthday girl, who never picked sides but always picked the drama. I RSVP'd yes. Not to cause a scene, but to give one. Think less table flip, more mic drop. The plan was simple. Let the truth speak for itself. I arrived fashionably late. Dark suit, no tie, confidence tailored just right. The kind of entrance that makes people whisper in corners. Is that Logan? He looks good. Ashley was already there, of course, surrounded by her usual orbit of wine-fueled sympathizers, performing her role with practiced ease. Her voice was syrupy, her smile rehearsed, her lies tucked neatly between sips of Prosecco. Oh, it was just miscommunication. We grew apart. He's not a bad guy, just lost. Lost. Sure. Let's go with that. I waited until the cake was served, social armor at its thickest, and then stood near the fireplace with a glass of scotch and a folder under my arm. The birthday girl, bless her bold little heart, tapped her wine glass and said, "Before we do gifts, Logan wanted to say a few words." Ashley's smile cracked for the first time all night. Just a hairline fracture. But I saw it. I stepped up, all calm eyes and steady breath. "Thanks, Madison. I'll keep it brief." Heads turned. Conversations froze like a pause button had been hit on the whole party. Ashley didn't move, didn't blink. Some of you know, some of you think you know, and some of you don't know a thing. So tonight, I'm doing something rare in modern relationships. I lifted the folder. I'm telling the truth. I opened it and pulled out one photo. Just one. Ashley and Jay. Poolside. Close. Hands where hands shouldn't be. Date stamped. Hotel logo in the corner. No room for interpretation. You could hear a wine glass set down a little too hard. This was taken 3 days into what she called her soul-searching solo trip. No one laughed. Not a sound. She said we were drifting, that she needed space, that it wasn't about anyone else. But turns out it was very much about someone else. Jay, in case anyone's curious, was also on that trip, just not listed in the booking. I held up the folder. This contains a full record of what went down. For legal purposes? Sure. But also so no one gets to rewrite history. Not her. Not Jay. Not me. Ashley stood then, face pale. Logan, don't do this. Oh, I already did. This isn't revenge, I said, my voice steady. This is clarity. You lied. You cheated. And then you played the victim like it was a party game. Someone, I think it was her cousin, whispered, "Oh my God," under her breath. Ashley moved closer, voice trembling. You're humiliating me. I shook my head. No, Ashley. You humiliated yourself. I'm just reading the credits at the end of your movie. She stepped back like she'd been slapped, but I wasn't angry. Not anymore. Just done. Done pretending she deserved my silence. I turned to the room. I'm not looking for sympathy. Just honesty. I've made peace with what happened, but I won't let lies be the last word. And with that, I placed the folder on the coffee table, right next to the birthday gifts. Consider it a reality check, I said. Then I tipped my glass to the room, nodded at Madison, and walked out. By the time I got to my car, my phone was buzzing like a kick beehive. Texts, calls, group chat screenshots. Jay got fired. Again. Ashley's old friend group? Split in half like a custody battle. Half were silent. The other half? They reached out. Apologized. Said they didn't know. Of course they didn't. That's what liars count on. But the real finale? That came 2 days later. I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. Ashley's handwriting. Logan. I deserve that. I know I did. But I wish you hadn't exposed me like that. I've lost friends. I've lost everything. Was it worth it? I stared at those last 4 words like they were a test. Was it worth it? I wrote back a single sentence. Truth always is. And that, right there, was the shift. She destroyed my peace with lies. So I destroyed her lie with truth. I didn't need to scream. Didn't need to burn the house down. All I had to do was flip the lights on. There's a strange calm that follows a storm, not peace exactly, but absence. The noise fades. The dust settles. You wake up one day and realize the betrayal no longer lives in your chest rent-free. That's where I found myself weeks after the birthday party incident, standing in my new apartment, pouring black coffee into a chipped mug, surrounded by furniture that didn't carry memories. No more echo of her voice in the kitchen. No more scent of her perfume on the pillow. No more pretending. Just me. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. But here's the truth they don't tell you about healing. It doesn't come from closure, therapy, or some cosmic revelation on a mountain. It comes from momentum, from doing, from moving. So I moved. Not just emotionally, physically. I changed gyms, changed routines, changed the route I took to work. Ashley had infected all my patterns. Every old rhythm was a place her shadow still danced. So I built new ones. Routine became my rehab. But purpose? That came later. It started with a friend request. Lena Carter. I stared at the notification like it was a mirage. She was someone I knew from years back. We met at a charity event Ashley had dragged me to, back when dragged still meant something affectionate. Lena was a real estate agent, smart, sharp-witted, with a smile that looked like it had seen war and come out wiser. She was also Ashley's nemesis. Not in the soap opera sense, more like professional competition with extra venom. They'd never liked each other. Too similar. Too polished. Too unwilling to be second. I accepted the request with a shrug. And less than an hour later, she messaged me. Saw the birthday footage. Let me just say, standing ovation. I didn't reply right away. I wasn't looking to rebound. But her message sat in my inbox like a door left open. Eventually, I stepped through. Didn't expect to find fans in the enemy camp. She replied in seconds. Not a fan. Just someone who appreciates a well-executed takedown. And just like that, we were talking. Conversations turned into coffee. Coffee into dinners. Dinners into long walks where she didn't ask me to explain myself, just listen when I wanted to speak. She never brought up Ashley unless I did, and even then, she didn't gloat. Lena was sharp. Funny. Blunt in a way that felt like fresh air. Did she always talk down to you like that? She asked once over steak and a dark Cabernet. Only when she wanted something, I said. Then I'm glad you made her famous, she smirked, raising her glass. Most people let betrayal ruin them. You turned it into a monologue with applause breaks. I laughed. Genuinely. It was the first time I realized I didn't feel broken anymore. Just rewired. That's when I got the idea. I was scrolling one night, halfway through a whiskey and avoiding sleep, when a video popped up, a man telling his story of divorce and betrayal in front of a mic with a brick wall behind him. Stand-up comedy. Except this wasn't jokes. This was war stories. Laughter punctuated by real hurt, delivered with surgical charm. And I thought, why not me? So I signed up for an open mic. Lena came with me. I stepped on stage with trembling hands and a voice that felt too raw. Then I said, my wife said she needed a solo trip to find herself. Turns out, herself was 6'2" and had a man bun. Laughter. She said I'd grown cold. I said she'd grown bold. You don't just cheat, you choreograph the betrayal these days. She left like it was a TED Talk. More laughter. People said I was brave. I wasn't. I just got tired of living like a ghost in my own story. Applause. I stepped off stage 30 minutes later to a dozen handshakes, a few hugs, and one drunk woman who yelled, "Screw Ashley." That night, I slept like a king. And just like that, Logan 2.0 was born. I kept doing open mics, then podcast interviews. Then I got invited to speak at a men's mental health panel. Apparently, the tale of the guy who turned his wife's affair into a punchline had legs. But it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming the narrative. Because too many guys walk through betrayal like zombies, silent, ashamed, thinking if they say anything they'll just sound bitter. But I wasn't bitter. I was just finally loud enough to be heard. Ashley, meanwhile, was not doing so well. I didn't follow her. Didn't stalk her socials. But the updates found me, they always do. Jay was long gone. Left her 2 months after losing his job. Word was, he moved to Texas. Started dating a yoga instructor. Classic. Ashley tried dating again, but apparently word gets around. Turns out, people don't trust someone who brings emotional baggage that weighs like airport luggage and arrives with photos. She texted me once more. I miss who we were. I didn't reply. Because we had died the second she chose silence over loyalty. The second she kissed another man while wearing the necklace I bought her on our 5th anniversary. The second she looked me in the eye and said, "It's just a trip." She didn't miss me. She missed the version of herself that existed when I still believed in her. So yeah, I moved on. Not by forgetting her, but by remembering who I was before her. Lena was different. She didn't ask for promises or poetry. She didn't fish for declarations of love. She was the kind of woman who ordered her own appetizer and paid for half the bill without flinching, which made her dangerous, not in a chaotic way, but in that quiet, honest way that cuts through your excuses. She saw me. The healed parts, the bruised ones, and the scars I'd made peace with but hadn't fully unpacked. And I'll admit it, I was scared. Not of her. Of what she represented. Something real. No performance. No manipulation. Just a woman who didn't need saving and wasn't looking to rescue anyone either. "I'm not her," she said once, when I flinched at a joke she made about cheating. "But I'm not going to wait forever for you to believe that." Fair. Brutal. True. So I made a choice. I stopped comparing. I stopped bracing for lies. I let myself fall, not recklessly, but freely. Because if I spent the rest of my life distrusting everyone who wasn't Ashley, then I'd still be hers, wouldn't I? And hell no, that woman wasn't getting one more minute of my future. Point. One morning, about 9 months after everything blew up, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Logan. The voice was tired. Shaky. Familiar. "Ashley. I'm not calling to fight," she said quickly. Can we talk? Please." I could have hung up. Could have ignored it. But curiosity has a wicked grip, so I agreed to meet. Neutral ground. Coffee shop. Middle of the day. No drama. She looked different. Not worse, just emptier. Her eyes used to burn with control. Now they flickered like a power outage. "I'm not here to win you back," she said. "I know I lost that chance." I waited. I've been in therapy, trying to figure out why I blew everything up. Why I couldn't just talk to you. I nodded. Not out of forgiveness, out of acknowledgement. "You were good to me," she whispered. "Better than I ever deserved." That part? She was right. Then she slid something across the table, a manila envelope. "What is this?" "My official signature on the divorce papers." I dragged it out. I don't know why. Maybe pride. Maybe hope. But it's time. I took it. Looked at her. "It was time the moment you picked him." She nodded, tears brimming but never falling. I hope you find someone who doesn't make you small, I said, standing up. She looked away. I did. But I ruined it. I left. That was the last time I saw her. Life didn't go back to normal, it evolved. Lena and I didn't rush into titles or leases. We traveled, talked late into the night, built something slow, real, unglamorous in the best way. I went back to therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to stay unbroken. And the speaking gigs? They turned into a book deal. Ghosted, a story of marriage, lies, and clean revenge. Yeah, I wrote it. Pages filled with truth, sarcasm, and a refusal to play the victim. I didn't name her, didn't have to. The story wasn't about her anymore. It was about every man who's been handed betrayal wrapped in fake affection. The book hit. Harder than I expected. Men reached out. Women too. They said, I felt seen. They said, I thought I was crazy until I read this. They said, you made it through, so maybe I can too. That was better than revenge. Because revenge burns fast. But impact? That thing smolders. Exactly 1 year after Ashley told me she needed to go alone to think, I woke up next to Lena in a cabin in the mountains. She handed me coffee without words, just a smile. I took it, stepped outside onto the porch, and breathed in mountain air crisp, clean, untouched by the past. 1 year ago, I was a man being quietly erased. Today, I was the author of my own damn story. I didn't think of Ashley with anger anymore. I thought of her like a hurricane you survive. You don't go chasing the storm again, you build stronger walls. And if you're lucky, you find someone who doesn't knock. They wait for you to open the door. Lena walked out behind me, wrapped in a blanket. You okay? She asked. Better than okay, I said. She looked at me. That's your story. You're better. I grinned. No, I'm not better. I'm done.